Okay, so in this video, I'm going to do the 8 constructions A through H. Starting off with construction A, we need to construct a line segment that's congruent to a given line segment. First, draw your line segment. Then, using your compass, put the gold piece of the safety compass on one edge, or if you have a compass like mine, you can follow along. Then you're going to try and line your safety compass up so that one of the holes in the compass directly aligns with the edge of this endpoint over here. Once you've found one that matches up perfectly, make a little arc and take notice as to what letter hole you used. When you're ready to continue, we're going to draw the congruent line segment. So you first need a point to start from. So I'm just going to make a little point in here. I'm going to take the compass, put the center of it on that new mark, and using the same hole or the same size angle, I'm going to then draw another arc. The last step is just to connect your point to that arc. And now we've made 2 congruent line segments. Okay, for construction B, this one requires a little bit more work. We now want to create a congruent angle. So first, make an angle, and I suggest making an acute one. When you're ready, get your compass. You're going to align the center of it at the vertex of that angle, and then choose any size that you want. Take notice as to what size you're using. So mine says 131, yours has a letter on it, and I'm going to make a little mark of that. And draw a loop so that it intersects both of those rays. You're then going to take the compass, put the center of it on the bottom intersection, and now your job is to line the compass up, so find a hole that matches perfectly with the other point of intersection. Okay, it does take a little bit of trial and error to do it. Once you have it, take notice of what letter you're using. Okay, so mine's not letters, mine's numbers, so I'm just marking that off. And then draw your second loop. Okay, it should look something like that right now. On the right hand side, this is where I'm going to start creating my congruent angle. Remember, it doesn't matter about the length of the rays, it's just about the angle or the space between it. So again, I'm going to align my center on the left hand side of that ray, and I'm going to repeat the process that I did. So first I did 131, so I'm going to get back to that angle measure and make a loop. Then put the center of your compass on that bottom intersection, go to the second measurement, make a loop. Your last job is to connect a couple things. So starting at where the vertex is going to be, connect through that point of intersection, and there's your second angle that is congruent to the first one. For construction C, we need to bisect a given line segment. So draw yourself a line segment to start. And when we do this bisecting rule, we're going to go by what I'm going to refer to as the 75% rule. So I'm going to mark off in my picture where I think 50% is. And then when I make my arcs, I'm going to use 75%. So say this is 0, 25%, 50, 75, and 100. And I'll show you what that means once I draw the arc. Start on the left-hand side of your line segment. And now you need to find a hole that's about 75%. So where my pen is landing here, that's about 75% of the length of the line segment. And I'm going to draw a relatively big backwards C. I'm going to use the same hole or the same letter marking, but now move my center to the other. Do the forward C. The last step is to actually bisect this line segment, so connect those 2 points of intersection. Okay, use your ruler to make it line up. And you can see it's pretty accurate with my original marking. So these two line segments, I'll do it in highlighter here. The left-hand piece and the right-hand piece, get those two little tick marks because they're congruent to each other. Okay, construction D is bisecting a given angle, so draw yourself an angle to start off with. The first step is a quick and easy step. You're going to take the compass, put the center on the vertex, and using any side that, or any size, that you want, make an arc so that it intersects both of those rays. That's the only requirement. Now again, I'm going to make a marking on my paper. If you need to do it on yours, that's fine. It just needs to be erased at the end. I'm going to estimate where 50% of my angle is. Okay, so this is where I'm estimating the bisector to be. When you're ready, take the center, put it on the bottom intersection. And you want your pen to be at about 75%. So if this red dashed line is 50, the other ray is 100, we want it somewhere in the middle, and make a big C shape. Keep track of whatever hole you just used, so I can see that mine is 95. I'm not going to change it. And I'm now just going to move my center over to the other intersection, and I'm going to do the same thing over there. You should get used to seeing this idea of the backwards and forward C that are intersecting. Last step is to actually draw the angle bisector, so connect those intersections as accurately as you can. And there's your angle bisector. Construction E says to draw a line that's parallel to a given line through a point not on the line. So you can see in my setup here, here's a line. I need to draw one that's parallel to it that goes through this point. So we can kind of imagine what it's going to look like. Okay, so in your picture, we're first going to start off, I'm just going to delete this piece here. Take the center of your compass and put it on that point of intersection. I'm just going to flip my compass around this way, actually. You want to make a loop, so watch for a second, so that it intersects both of those rays, but doesn't go past the circle. Okay? If it goes past the circle, you're just not going to be able to follow my rule of working up the line. I used number 53, so mark down what letter you used, and then we're going to move on. Now, by working up the line, just kind of watch what I'm going to highlight here for a second. We first put the center of the compass at that intersection. Now we're going to do the next point of intersection on that line. So we're going to start at the bottom and work up. So again, put the center on that vertex. And now we want to find one that perfectly aligns with the other point of intersection. I'm going to switch colors just so you can see. I'm going to make a little C shape, and I'm going to make note of what I used. Okay, and I'm just going to make that C a little bit bigger, actually. And it should look something like that. We're going to work our way up our line, start at the next point of intersection. Okay, yours might be different than mine, but that's fine. Start there. I'm going to switch back to red, and I'm going to go back to the hole I used first, or the number I used first. So you should do the same thing. We're alternating. Make a big loop. Then here's our fourth point of intersection right here. Working up the line, we want to use our second hole. And draw another loop. if you look, and I'm just going to highlight again here, at this point of intersection, it should look relatively parallel to the original point that you plotted. Okay, that's the goal, to make a line that went through and was parallel to the given line. So once you see it, connect those 2 points, put some arrows at the end, and you've created your parallel line. Just as a further reminder on this one, construction E tends to be the most difficult one for students. A reminder again, just work up the line and then also alternate the letters in the holes that you use. I find that when you make the first arc go below the point, it does make things a little bit easier to visualize. Okay, construction F says to draw a line perpendicular to a given line through a point on the line. So draw yourself a line with a point on it. And when you're ready, put the vertex of your, put the center of your compass on that point. You're going to make a circle of any size that you want. It doesn't matter. The goal of the circle is to intersect that line twice. You can see I have a point of intersection on the left of it and one on the right. Then move your center to the leftmost intersection. And I'm going to switch colors again here so you can see the difference. You want to find any hole that goes past the point. So if you look where mine is, it's further to the right of that point. When you're there, we're going to go back to this idea of the big backwards and forward C. You also want to take note as to what hole you used. Then move to the other intersection. Using the same hole, make the forward C. Those 2 C's should intersect above the line and below it. Draw a line now, so this is our perpendicular line, that connects both those intersections. And now we've drawn the perpendicular line. Construction G is very similar to the last one, except now the point is not on the line. We're going to do basically the same exact process. So again, once you have your setup, put the center of your compass on the point. And the goal here is to make sure that when you draw a circle, that it actually intersects your line. You don't want the radius of that circle to be too small. So it should look something like that. Once again, this circle has intersected the line at 2 different spots. Go to that first intersection, and you need to find a hole that's past the circle, past the point, past the point. Once you're there, backwards C. Again, remember what letter you used. Move the compass to the right-hand intersection using the same letter, forward C. Move your compass out of the way, use a straight edge to connect those 2 intersection points, and there's a line that is now perpendicular to that given line, and that also goes through the point. So again, that means all of these in here are right angles. Okay, in construction H, we're going to create an equilateral triangle when you're given one side of it. So draw a line segment, line the center of your compass up on the left, find the hole or letter that perfectly aligns with the right-hand side, make the backward C, and take notice as to what letter or arc you used. Move it to the other side, forward C, and to finish up, to make the end of our triangle, we want to connect each of these starting points to the point of intersection. The same thing could be done for the bottom triangle as well. Okay, and there you have all 8 constructions.